Hi, so that's it. We're live on both Facebook and Instagram. And welcome. This is Frederick for our last live of the year. It's the 6th of December, and I think next week would have been the 13th, by which point we'll all probably be all incredibly busy trying to get everything ready for Christmas. It's already a bit of a mad time right now. Um, and so we're just going to do the last one, the last live tonight. By next week, I don't think anybody is going to be too keen on listening to me or actually joining into our sessions. So as this is the last one, and we are very close to Christmas, we're going to be talking about Christmas memories, because obviously that's something that's very, very close to our hearts. Now, before we go on to Christmas memories. One thing that I just wanted to talk was Christmas gift, because actually you can gift family quilt to a loved ones. It actually is a lovely present, because it's one that says that you care, that says tell me more about your stories. And you can actually, when you input stuff in the buying page, you can choose a person you want to give to. We will send them an email on whatever day you want us to, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, depending on when you want it to arrive. And we can also send you a little lovely card for you to give on the day. So if you're still looking for presents and you're not sure, have a think about Family Quilt. The subscription costs £20, because we've got a special Christmas offer right now. And I know it will make whoever gets it very happy, and they will think it's a very thoughtful present, and actually the whole family will enjoy it, which is wonderful. Now, so let's go back onto Christmas memories. That was also our competition, and the competition finished, I think, on Tuesday. We're going to be announcing the winner tomorrow, the winners actually, because we have one winner on Facebook and we have one winner on Instagram. So that's going to be tomorrow. We've had some lovely, lovely entries. It's been really quite heartwarming to hear some of those family memories that people have been putting out. And yes, so that's tomorrow. And yes, that's the other thing. I just was thinking today, because this is the last one, it would be really, really good if we made the session as interactive as possible. So feel free to zap me a hello and to let me know some of your best memories. Now, when we think about Christmas memories, the reason why I think, the first and foremost reason why I think it's the most important thing to do is to capture those memories, is because particularly of your children, and one day maybe your grandchildren, but certainly for your children. I've seen a lot of the lovely, lovely stories that are coming out, and lovely memories that are coming out around Christmas time, are around how magical it is for the little ones. But the fact though, oh hi Caroline, the fact though is that your little ones will just not remember. Actually, they might just remember their first Christmas when they're 7, 8, and even then I'm not sure, because Christmas blur from one on to the next. And so in a way, if you don't capture those memories, they'll probably be gone, and your children may never actually know them. I know we never properly captured, we take photos and things, but we never properly wrote the stories around some of the Christmases we had. And when I go back now and the children ask me questions, when did we stop believing in Father Christmas? I don't remember. What was our favorite present when we were little? I don't remember. They're 21 and they're 23, and it's now kind of all a bit of a blur, frankly, because we've had 23 or Christmases with children, and I really don't remember. And it's such a shame, because actually there are some really sweet, sweet, sweet little stories that sometimes you hear people tell you about their children. And obviously they tell you that when the children, that was last Christmas or 2 Christmas ago or 3 Christmas ago. But when you're 10 years down the line, forget that, it's all gone. But you can see that there's some really lovely stories. What were your children's favorite present? How did they react the first time they they understood what was Christmas really about, not just played around with the wrapping paper? What was it like the first time they went to see Father Christmas? What kind of shenanigans did they get to when they were going to bed? and or when they got up really early in the morning. So there are some really super stories to be captured, but I can absolutely tell you that if you do not capture them as and when they happen, or very quickly after they've happened, they will go. And when the children then get to an age, any time after 8, 10 years old, they are so keen to hear stories about themselves when they were little. And they then kind of love reminiscing, even if it's not very far away, and they love kind of hearing who they were and the kind of stuff they did and that kind of things, which is really, really smashing. And so, that is probably, for me, the first and foremost, most important reason why people should be capturing their family stories, or the stories and the little things that are happening, kind of around Christmas time. The second reason why I think this is really, really, to kind of capture some of those memories really properly, is because what you're documenting really is family traditions. Um, we all have our way of doing Christmas. Some of it is because our parents did it that way. Some of it is because we've kind of given it a little twist. But in many of our little stories, there is a kind of a way on how we kind of do things. And again, there'll be one day where you're kind of sitting, in your rocking chair, and you look back at maybe, what you were doing and what your children or grandchildren are doing, or you might sit back and look at what you used to do when you were little and your children do now, and you'll kind of have a little heartwarming moment when you realize that some of the ways that you've been doing Christmas, kind of have been preserved, and that there is a lot of similarities, and you've kind of passed on some things that you do now. I mean, for me, one of the really sweet story was earlier on in the week. For us, one of the family tradition that we have is around going and buying the Christmas tree. And when the children were little, because they were at home, when they're not at home now anymore, but when they were at home, the buying of the tree, deciding how high it was going to be, putting it in front, putting it into the house. We would then basically get all of the decks out, and then we would absolutely blast Christmas music in the house, and we would decorate the tree, kind of together. And we have some lovely memories of having done that. And This week I was talking to my eldest son, who now lives in his own flat in London. And Jack was saying to me, he said, "Oh yeah, I mean, this week TJ's friend and him, we went and bought our Christmas tree, and we put it up, and we put all this Christmas music on." And I thought, gosh, this was really sweet, because in a way, I mean, he does that because we were doing that, and now he is, 23-year-old man, living, on his own with friends and things in London. And suddenly he's basically picking up, very similar, kind of traditions to the ones that we have had. And traditions are not just about, the Christmas day, because they really do start from when does a Christmas season really start. Another tradition in our family that we would definitely actually document into Family Quilt is our mince pie recipe. My mother-in-law was an absolutely mean recipe, and we've been following it. And actually, my youngest son baked a whole couple of batches today, actually. And this is a kind of thing, and he calls me, and I'm out and about, and he calls me and he says, "Mom, I want to cook this, bake those mince pies. Do you have the recipe?" And so, here I am kind of trying to remember, because I'm away and I don't have it with me, and texting him back the recipes. And when I get back, here he is, and he's got it. And again, that's kind of a recipe that has been handed down by, my mother-in-law, and is now, with me. And then clearly also is going to go with my children. So when you document some of those traditions, you really do, or some of those Christmas memories, you really do document, some kind of family traditions. And then obviously there's all of the traditions, kind of on Christmas Day, that people do. What do you eat? What time do you eat? When do you open your presents? And again, if you were going to, write some stories in January about how Christmas, unfolded for you, and the kind of things you did, when you kind of capture, that moment of that day, you will somehow kind of capture some of those traditions that you will one day be really happy to look back and, kind of, and realize what it was that you were doing, and that, your children and grandchildren do. So, I mean, we certainly have, quite a few things that we do, because obviously we've got this kind of French and English way of doing it. So in our house, we always do, we always do, okay, Kat, we always do some, what was I going to say? Oof. At Christmas, where we celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, when we were in France. And then, so we open our presents on Christmas Eve, which is nice. And then we have this enormous, this kind of enormous meal. And actually, when you think about tradition, it's funny because last year we celebrated Christmas in England, and it was the first year in, well, 30 years probably I've been in England, that we actually did do Christmas presents on Christmas Eve in the very French way, because the boys really insisted that's what they wanted to do. So as you can see, I mean, I think, documenting memories, obviously, we think is a wonderful thing to do. At Christmas, I think it's really even more special because, you can really capture the magic of Christmas for your children, for all those memories they will never remember, but one day they will love to find. And for all of those family traditions that actually come out at Christmas time, that you have a chance of capturing and kind of, passing on, and one day realizing how much of it you've passed on. So it really is a kind of a special time. Now, one of the things I did, because I was asking my children, I was asking myself, what are kind of Christmas memories, and I posted one when we did the competition about, Father Christmas coming in our house and my father banging on the wall to make it a pretend Father Christmas. And I asked my sons actually what were, some of their memories, because the one thing that is amazing about Christmas is all of the Christmases merge from one year to the next, to the next, to the next, where you kind of do the same kind of thing every year. So it's quite hard after quite a long time to remember actually, what did we do? What did we, what was special? So they had a couple of one that I thought were kind of actually quite cracking, because they were quite different, from what I thought they might have remembered about Christmas. So the first one was my eldest son, and he remembered of a Christmas that we had when we lived in Sydney. And obviously in Sydney, Christmas is in the summer, which is very weird. So you walk into these shopping centers that are, you're wearing your shorts and your flip-flops, and you have this Christmas music, Santa Claus is coming to town blasting, in the shopping center. And somehow, our mind was a little bit difficult to kind of get the whole thing right. But certainly one of his memory that was fascinating was he remembered, there was a big road, big avenue going up to our house called Pacific Highway. And he said, he remembers seeing on Christmas Day, Father Christmas, i.e., the whole shebang, the hat, the everything, standing there on Pacific highways on a day where the temperature was 45 degrees. And that was kind of one of his most obscure memory of, the kind of things that stuck to his mind, for a Christmas. And my youngest son, his memory was actually a couple of years ago, we went, and the whole family, with the cousins, and we went away into a house in Devon, and Tom then would have been 19, and at the obviously we did a really big meal, black tie meal, on Christmas Eve, because that's what we would do because we're French, and the whole family was very excited. It was lovely, actually. Everybody was was lovely, and at the end of that black tie meal, clearly the boys, my two sons, went out, and he remembers kind of sipping a cigar, with his brother, outside in black tie, and kind of contemplating the world and the lovely meals we just had, and the Christmas big lunch that would come the day after. So, it was interesting because I thought, they might remember stuff that was much more, the kind of normal things we do. But actually, as I say, the thing about Christmas is one Christmas blends into another and into another. And actually, if you capture some of those stories, you will remember them. And that's why sometimes what you remember are kind of a little bit of unusual stories that you would have had, that you don't really think, would have been a kind of a normal Christmas kind of time stories. So this is kind of my last, two memories I have. I mean, if any of you guys have got any stories that you want to share, please ping them on. I did put everything properly set up, so I should be able to read easily whatever it is that you might be commenting on. I know we've had some really lovely stories coming. I think one of the one that I thought was really sweet was somebody talking about the Christmas carol, the Christmas school play that their daughter had done, and being very shy and actually done really well at it. We've had some lovely stories about pretend Father Christmas, and now that seems to be, in all household done in a slightly different way. So there we go. Look, I think we're going to stop because it's been 15 minutes, and that's probably plenty of time, and we're all very busy before Christmas. So before I check out, I just wanted to wish you and your families the absolutely most fantastic time for Christmas. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. Do think about capturing those memories because you will love having them one day. So do think about capturing them, and just simply have a wonderful family with a wonderful time with your family. So all the best. Merry Christmas. 2.5 weeks to go. Tick tock, tick tock. Let's get on with it and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Bye for now.